This is Shoshanah Shear, and before we go too far, I had somebody remind me of the importance of mentioning my website. One of the reasons that I didn't mention my website in the previous two videos is because I'm in the process of restructuring and I'm unsure at the moment as to what I'll be doing with Be a Happy Mom. I have ideas of turning it into a membership website. You'll see if you have a look at it. There is membership up, but I haven't really put the levels and the content and so on together. So I hadn't mentioned it, but yes, one of my websites is beahappymom.com. The other website is our online store, which you'll find at creationsfromjerusalem.com. And with that little bit of who I am, let's jump into the topic of this video. Last week, or in the last 10 days-ish, I participated in a 5-day Mastermind, I guess it's called, looking at certain concepts about being successful. And this particular Mastermind was predominantly focused on one's mindset, looking at things like prioritizing, self-image. A number of other concepts were included, goal setting being a very big one. One of the questions posed to me, or posed to us, right towards the beginning of this 5-day challenge or mastermind, was to think about how one would dress and how one would portray oneself being a successful, whoever you are, a successful coach, a successful writer, a successful artist. And I thought about this a little bit for the homework that they offered, and to a large extent came up with more and more questions. What does a successful artist look like to you? Well, to a certain extent, a certain person whose yacht site it is today brings up a number of questions that I'd like to pose. With that, I'm going to leave it as a question, and I'll pick up in another video, hopefully, some ideas that I have as to what it is to be successful. So today is the 26th of Shvat, the Hebrew month of Shvat, and it's the yacht site of Rav David Halevi Sigal. His father's name is Shmuel, very powerful, beautiful name, David ben Shmuel. Shmuel Hanavi, of course, is the prophet who anointed David HaMelech, so it has a lot of symbolism. Rav David Halevi Sigal is better known as the Taz, and the Taz comes from an acronym of one of his literary works, which is called Turei Zahav, and it's a commentary on two sections. As far as I know, it's two sections of the Shulchan Aruch, Yoreh Deah and Orach Chaim. So that's the work that the Taz is best known for. Let's have a look at a couple of other facts that we know about Rav David Halevi Sigal. He married the daughter of the Bach, who was also one of the great commentaries. And at a certain point, he moved from having lived with his father-in-law for quite some time to a small town where he became the rabbi. Now, something very interesting about the greatness of the Taz is that his main Torah teacher was his older half-brother, and I think that's an extremely beautiful and powerful concept, especially for all mothers to think of, if you want to bring it back to the theme of Be a Happy Mom, my website, is to consider the power and the beauty when siblings do work together and acknowledge the strengths of one another instead of there being sibling rivalry. When the one helps the other, of course, the Taz would not be anything of who he was without the teaching and the guidance of his older brother. His older brother's name was Yitzchak Halevi. Some other concepts or some other facts that we know about the Taz. He did author some other works, and he's known as one of the greatest Talmudists of his time period. He was one of the Acharonim. So to a certain extent, one could say he was a famous author. Those who study halacha are bound to come across the Taz and to learn his works. And so from that point of view, one could say that the Taz was successful. However, many of his writings were published only after he passed away. He died at the age of 81. And so from that point of view, we could say once again that he was successful because of the fact that he lived to a ripe old age and he was productive and a leader in his time. However, there are a few other facts which some people could challenge as to whether they depict a successful person or they don't. The mastermind that I participated in was looking predominantly at financial success. And from that point of view, the Taz was not successful at all. In fact, he lived in great poverty for a lot of his life. I don't know if it was all of his life, but he lived in great poverty. So from that point of view, if we want to bring in the yardstick used by this mastermind, the Taz would not have been successful. Another important and sad fact is that in the last few years of his life, his two older children died sadly in a pogrom in Poland. And so he lost two of his sons during his lifetime. He also lost his first wife during his lifetime and then remarried, marrying the widow of his wife's brother. I believe that would be the Buck's daughter-in-law that he married. So from that point of view, he had a number of losses. Would we say then that he was successful still? Would we still use that yardstick that the Taz was successful? Let's have a look at another important concept or an important fact that we know about the Taz, and that is that his descendants were the rabbis from the Poltrovich family of Russia. And from this family, there were 33 rabbis over a number of generations. From that point of view, we could say, yes, it seems as though the Taz was successful. So what is the measure? The whole point of this, to a certain extent, is to recognize Rav David Halevi Siegel, known as the Taz, on this day, on the 26th of Shvat, which was his yahrzeit. He died in 1667. So from one point of view, we can acknowledge this great Talmudist. He authored, as I say, a number of other works. One of them, the Magen David, and there's another one, Divrei David, which is a commentary on Rashi. So really somebody who had a very powerful mind, who was a master of Torah, whose works are learnt today. What is the yardstick that you would use as to if somebody is successful? Do we use just the measure of financial success? If so, what do we say about the fact that the Taz grew up and lived in poverty for much of his life? I'd love to hear from you, so do put a comment in the comments below as to your definition or your yardstick that you use of success. What is your measure of success? And in another video, I'd like to pick up on this theme a little bit more and share some more stories of some people that for me are examples of success. And I would put the Taz as being a successful artist if we're going to consider authors as being in the category of artists, because of the fact that his writings have been published and they're being learnt widely today. So as I say, share your thoughts in the comments below, and I'd love to hear what your comments are and pick up on them in my next video, or perhaps the one after that, because I have another video in mind. So with that, I wish you a blessed day. It's a nice sunny day here in the holy city of Yerushalayim, and let's do what we can to increase and spread the Torah teachings, which is a reminder of what the work of the Taz was all about, And with that, I'd like to remind you that if you haven't already done so, do take a look at my husband's YouTube channel, where you'll find a wealth of information, beautiful, inspiring, thought-provoking YouTube videos, some beautiful graphics for his thumbnails, and he's teaching from the Gemara of Brachos at the moment. He's got some shiurim on Mesilat Yesharim. He has some teachings about Tanya. There's something about, I think he started Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. I think he started. He has a couple of other stories from Agada or other Hasidic works that he's start to bring to life with some illustrations from, some visual images to help to bring some of these stories to life. So do take a look at his channel and be in touch with us through our main site, which is lovingkindness.co. And with that, I wish you again a blessed day, and we'll see you in another video.